Hi, it's Friday, February 21st, and it's time for another Flosstube video. Hi, my name is Marissa. This is Kissa Creations. This is a Flosstube video, which is a video that is mostly about cross stitch. I'm going to share a couple other crafty things, but really the focus is the floss. So that is where the name Flosstube comes from. And welcome. Welcome if you are new, and welcome and thank you if you are returning. I appreciate you coming and spending a little bit of time with me. I know that there are a lot of floss tubes out there to watch, as I have been caught up in watching them as well. Let's see. First, I wanted to just acknowledge that like this week, or this month has been hard. This year has been hard, and I am crafting and really trying to focus on the good little moments of whimsy in my life, and cross stitch really brings that. So thank you for being here to share that with me. This last week has been pretty wild. We got about 1.5 feet of snow on top of already about 6 inches of snow that we had. So we have not had any melt. It's been cold. So our front yard is filled with snow. It's February vacation. In California, we used to call it ski week. Here, I mean, it is ski week here too, because everyone goes to the snow, but it's just that February break. And I think it just came from the fact that in February, we ended up having like President's Day and then Washington's birthday, and they finally were just like, you know what, we're just gonna do 1 week. You just take a week. That's how we're gonna celebrate it. Everyone have a week. Parents were probably keeping their kids out of school for like a day longer to go somewhere, or just being like, well, you have 2 Mondays off in a row. We're just not gonna send you to school that week. And so I think it just makes more sense to not have the kids there, and so that's what they've done. And so we are at the tail end of February vacation. We saw Dog Man, just in case you're looking for a movie to watch with kiddos. It was, as expected, a little bit of toilet humor, as comes with the books, and a lot of words that aren't words as that come with the books. They are in my, well, at least my children are reading category of books. They aren't my favorites, but again, it's a book in front of their face instead of electronics, and so I will take it. So we went and took them to the movies and to see that, and that was only our second movie trip as a family, so it's still, that is like still a shiny new thing that we get to do, and the girls really enjoyed it. And I can now cross off my bucket list that I have seen a building fart. So in case you want to also cross that off your bucket list, please run out and see Dogman. It was well casted, and I assume that there's going to be a couple more movies. I don't think we're done with the Dogman universe yet, because as my children informed me, that movie only encompassed 3 of the books that exist, and I think there are 13. So I think we have some more Dogman in our future. We also went sledding yesterday. My eldest went off of a bump in a tube, and her back's not feeling amazing today, so we are at a day of rest, which is perfect because I am working, spending my lunch doing a floss tube, and then their dad will come home from work and we'll have a family afternoon, nice and calm, no more bumps on sledding hills. So 5 minutes of drivel, and let's get into some stitching. I don't have any finishes. I don't have any FFOs. I have been kind of heads down, either reading or stitching. Reading sort of took precedence over the last week. I read 2 books. I had not read any books yet this year, and so that's kind of how books and me work. They just will consume me for a little bit, and then I will get back to other stuff. But I did get a bunch of stitching done, and I forget where this was when I showed you last time, but I worked on Deadly Aquarium from Lola Crow because That's from Monsters Inc. in case you didn't know. That's my favorite line in that movie. And my family makes fun of me for it. All right. So because she did announce it's birds. Her next stitch along, Lola Crow's next stitch along is going to be birds. So I've got to finish this. This has to be done. I think she's like pre-sale starts. It might have already started. And then she'll release the frame, I think April 1st. So I need to have this done by April 1st. So that's the goal. So since I think the last time I showed you, I worked on the crocodile and I made his sign, and I've worked on the puffin. So I have more crocodile to do and a little bit more puffin to do. I think he just needs his white and he'll be all set. And then maybe some backstitch. The sign is backstitched. The crocodile, I don't know if he has a lot of backstitch on him. I think it's probably just a little bit. It's so cool. You could even like really see what he was just with one color. I think I just had the black. I just had the 310 in there, and you could see that he was very clearly a crocodile. So it's been really fun watching him come together. Also in my like leave me alone, I just want to like do things that make me happy mode. I've been watching like 90s rom-coms or early 2000s. I don't know if 90s is the right. Yeah, I think not. So I watched Simply Irresistible with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and then The Wedding Date is one of my favorite romantic comedies, and so I watched that. I think I've watched it 2 or 3 times. It's really short, it feels like, and so those movies from back then, I don't know. And then Sean Patrick Flannery in Simply Irresistible is like adorable, but like so different from Sean Patrick Flannery from Boondock Saints. Anyways, welcome to Random Movie Chat with Marissa. My sister and I are the type of people that will like kind of see somebody in the background and like probably ruin an entire movie for ourselves by like spending time trying to see if that person that's in the background was also in these like 7 other shows that we remember. So I tend to do that like when I watch movies, but it like lets my brain kind of escape, and those old 90s movies were really good for that. I just feel like there's so much crossover and so much fun stuff to watch. But yeah, so the first thing I worked on was Deadly Aquarium. I have been picking that up whenever I'm like usually in my stitching spot, because it's easiest to stitch on when I have good light, because it's on 40 count. And then also my Lowry frame helps speed up that process a lot, because I'm stitching with Pattern Keeper, which also helps speed up that process. So it's going fast. I feel like I'm getting a lot done. I feel like I'm in the 80% realm of it. I think like 82% or something like that. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I just need to get that crocodile done. That's going to be like a huge chunk. And then we've just got some sharks and stuff on the top, I think, and a couple more jellyfish that I need to do. But since I've been backstitching as I go, I won't have to like do all of that at the end, which I think will be really nice. I feel like that would have been the type of project to kind of sit on the back burner just waiting for its backstitch if I didn't do it as I went along. That was like when I did Ocean ABCs, I would stitch all the color in each block, and then I would backstitch each block. And then the only thing that I had to do when I was finished was backstitch around the entire outside. So that made my life a little bit easier when I was doing that. All right, and then, like I said, it snowed. So I have a snow day project. My snow day project is the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. I'm gonna put, I didn't really like go to one side more than the other today. I'll put a picture of it here of the cover so you can see. I'm not changing it other than the fact that I'm using DMC, and I said this in my last video, but I will say it again. Just check your conversions from chart to chart. So each block is charted in its own chart, which is very helpful, but the conversion from NPI to DMC varies from chart to chart. So it can be the same NPI silk, but on one chart it's calling for one color, and on another chart it's calling for another color as the sub. So just, I would say, kind of do like a little overview for yourself before you really dig down into that, that specific pattern, and make sure that your colors that you're going to use, number one, go together. Number two, they're the same colors that you used maybe on a previous block for a substitute for said NPI. Just kind of, I don't know, keep your eye out for that. I don't know if it's going to happen in more spots. I just know it happened in that one spot. I don't know if it's going to happen with other colors, but it's just something to be on the lookout for. So it snowed. So I finally settled on a color for the crab. It does look a little red in this picture, but it's more of like a burnt orange, I would say, which I feel like is a color that exists in ocean crabs. But then I did all the little blue fish. So they were my the crab and the little blue fish were my snow day extravaganza. So this block's coming together. I think that there's an eel, a seahorse, and 2 big fish. An eel, a seahorse, and 2 big fish. So I'm hopeful to work on those. They're a little bit more color blocky and less like I'm stitching this on 40 count doubloon, and I just really didn't want to carry flosses too far on the back of this with the fish. So there was a lot of starting and stopping, even though like there may not have needed to be. So I'm excited for these larger elements that are going to fill in that spot right there. So less starting and stopping. And then I haven't decided quite yet if I will go down this way or if I will go over this way. But we'll get there when we get there. And then the other thing that I've been working on is, I'll put a picture here of this too. This is Dreaming of Klimt from Barbara Anna. So this is where I am at. So I started working up into her face, got a lot of down here done. So I started this with Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, and Sarah at I Swear I'm Stitching, and Shelly, Key X Stitch. So Shelly and Sarah both have different Instagrams than they have Flosstubes. So Sarah's Flosstube is I Swear I'm Stitching, and her Instagram is Eat My Oxygen. And then Shelly's is It's Only Stitching, I think, her Flosstube, and then Shelly Key X Stitch for her Instagram. So she started this, Julie started this, Sarah started this. So thank you ladies for stitching along with me with some Klimt. And I'm gonna keep making some progress on this. I have my little floss ring with my DMC pulled for it. And then this is 32 count Woodland from Forbidden Fiber Company. It's 32 count Woodland. It was from a Fabric of the Month club. And then, so I don't know if this is gonna actually look, I don't think this looks any different from the last time I shown you. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I found a mistake in 324. So I'm not gonna put a picture from last video, but this is where it is now. So let me tell you what I did. Up here in this corner, one of these, I think it was, let's see, I can tell you. It was this one. So I had gone across the top. This motif right here was 1 block too high. I had all of these that are here stitched, and I think maybe 1 more. So I think I might be 1 short on where I was. And I realized it when I was like working on this motif right here. So I pulled out all of the full motifs that I had stitched, and then I had to pull out the top row of all the little blocks I had, and then I added it back to the bottom. So it essentially moved those blocks down. I didn't have to pull out all of it. I just had to pull out the top. But oh, it was so sad. It was so stinking sad that was how that went down. I was so bummed. So it kind of went on timeout for a hot minute, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this right now. So that was like a silly mistake. There is a motif down here if you're stitching this. So I'm going to be full of the hot tips today. If you are stitching 324 and you have not gotten through these blues in the bottom left hand corner, you're like, because you get into a mode when you're stitching these. You're like, hey, 1, 2, 3. It's 3 spots away from the other motif. That's kind of where you get going. Well, this guy right here, this one, come on, camera, so that they know what I'm talking about. This one has 4 spots on each side of it. So that is a danger, that's a danger motif. So just be careful if you have not gotten to this bottom left corner yet. Be aware of this little danger motif right here. That is not the same spacing like it is when you when it comes down to it. It is in the middle of its section, but it's not the same counting as all of the other motifs. It is a danger motif. It can be a danger place. My mistake was not from a danger place. It was from, well, if you call this a danger place, then perhaps I have a danger place in my brain. That was all me. I did that one all by myself. There is no one to blame. And obviously, not blaming Arlene for people's mistakes here. This is just sometimes you stitch a border on especially a reproduction sampler, and there's gonna be 1 extra stitch on the right side versus the left side, and it's usually because whoever originally stitched that sampler was making it up as they went, and something was the matter, and that was how they connected their vine, or that was how they made it fit because they had already done it all, and no one back in samplery times was frogging their entire border to make it match. No, they were fudging it. They were connecting it in a weird spot. So then we find, you're doing a reproduction sampler and you get in your head with this counting, okay, it's 5 spaces for this, and then the leaf is this many stitches, and then I go back up and then I do this. At least that's how I am. My brain obviously has a lot of talking in it, even when it's supposed to be quiet. There's a lot of talking in it even when it's not supposed to be quiet. So but so that's not the fault of the designer. I'm not blaming Arlene for this danger motif. I am just sending out a warning to you on the danger motif, that is potentially a spot for making a boo-boo, especially if you are stitching diagonal down, and you're using that as a counting off point for something. Just be careful. Every now and then do a little check that all your little 5x5 boxes line up and that everything lines up. I think part of that was me jumping around the whole top thing. Part of it was that I did it at a group in a group setting. So, group setting situation and being chatty did not help me with 324. But that is okay. And it is fixed now, and it is actually fixed. It doesn't need air quotes. It is all the way fixed. It just might not be exactly where it was. Like I said, it went to timeout for a little bit. I've picked it up since I've talked to you, but it was to work and then to work on it and then realize that I needed to frog, and then frogging and then putting things back in. Not sure how different it is from the last time you saw it. Probably not very different at all. Again, S happens. That was part of the S. I stepped in it with 324. So, and then I wanted to do a little shout out and then a little share too. Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe has started an additional thrifting channel. Thrifting with Stephanie. Stephanie Shops Secondhand. Stephanie Shops Secondhand. I am a secondhand shopper also. I have, I think, expressed that to you guys a couple of times. I usually look for craft stuff, craft supplies, But I also have an eBay that I resell on if I find stuff that I think, number one, a lot of crafty stuff that like I won't use, I will sell on eBay if I find it. Like I found stuff for like stained glass. I'm not going to pick up stained glass, but I found new and packaged stained glass stuff that goes on my eBay store. Stuff like that. Anyways, beside the point, Stephanie has an awesome new YouTube channel that she started where she is taking you on secondhand runs, where she's like looking for specific things. Sometimes Allison comes along, sometimes they do a crossover video. It's awesome. I am totally for it. She has a similar mindset to that I do, which is like trying to keep stuff out of the landfill, but also like a lot of things are perfectly good secondhand. We're really lucky. We also have a great kids consignment store here. And so that is where I buy a lot of things for my girls, especially if I'm buying them for just my younger, because then I know the clothes aren't going to go through two kids. But also, I was telling my husband about this the other day. I had purchased a Land's End bathing suit secondhand from Lots for Tots. And both girls wore it. Both girls wore it for full summers. We rotate bathing suits pretty heavily because we go to the beach almost every day. We live 3 miles from the beach. Sometimes after work, we will just pack up stuff and go down to the beach. Like we will go grab a pizza and have dinner down there. Maine gets this like really perfect summery weather that it's just comfortable until the sun goes down, and even then it's comfortable then too. It doesn't get like wicked cold at night. It's just like the same temperature the whole time. So yeah, so we use our bathing suits. So I bought a Land's End bathing suit there. Both kids wore it for 2 full summers, maybe 3, because there's that in-between summer where they're like squeezing into a bathing suit that probably doesn't fit them yet, or wearing a bathing suit that might be too big for them. So we at least got 3 summers out of that suit. And then I sold it back to them because it was in such good shape still. I mean, they probably only pay me like $2 for it. But they took it and it went and could use it for somebody else. So like, especially high quality clothing, like I am all for secondhand high quality clothing, especially when it comes to kids. My daughter's grandmothers, both of them, love to buy clothes for my children. I barely ever buy clothes for my children. When I do, it's from Lots for Tots because they get all their brand new clothes from their grandmas, and I don't ever have to buy anything, which I'm grateful for. That is like a champagne problem, that I don't pick out my kids' clothes. But okay, anyways, I have my little thrifting spiel from this week because I'm just gonna run into the thrifting world too for you for a hot minute. So I dragged my husband. It's vacation week. I decided to take the days that my husband doesn't work off. And so my girls spent the night at their grandmother's house on Wednesday. And so on Thursday morning, my husband and I headed to the bins, the Goodwill bins. I don't know if you know what the Goodwill bins are, but it's like a Goodwill outlet. You pay by the pound for everything. The first time I went there, I went by myself and like learned the Goodwill bins. It is wild. It is like a whole show of its own. But I found a lot of really great, I found some stitching books that I have already since sold on eBay that just like weren't books that I would want. Some quilting books as well, same thing. And then what else did I find? I don't know, you dig. You're essentially digging through like what they're gonna send to the landfill. So this time I actually bought, I saved a bunch of vintage wrapping paper. Remember how it used to come in like the 3 or 4 packs of like this wrapping paper squares that they were like folded up? I found a huge stack of that. So I have some vintage Christmas. It's vintage 90s, which is wild because I'm just like, oh, I remember this like from Current magazine, you know, you get like the or like the Hallmark store. So I saved a bunch of vintage wrapping paper, which I will use. Like I'm taking it out of the landfill for now. It's going to go end up in there, but at least it's going to get one more use before it does. But I wanted to show you a couple of the other things that I found, and then just kind of recommend that, like, if you are up for a dusty adventure, I highly recommend the Goodwill bins. If you are if you like thrifting, But like sometimes you're like, oh, that's just like way too expensive. I don't really know if I want that. Go to the Goodwill bins. It's an experience. So if you look up Goodwill bins or Goodwill outlet on Google, you should be able to find one that's like fairly close to you. I think there might be 2 in Maine. But there's one that it's like 25 minutes from us. It doesn't take that long to get there. It's like, but anyway, so I wanted to show you the crafty type stuff that I got this time on my adventure. So I found not 1 but 2 smaller cutting mats. So this one is like, I don't know. This one is much stiffer, and then this one's a Friskers. It's really long and skinny. But like sometimes you just need like random, like especially when I'm doing smalls, when I'm finishing smalls, like a cutting mat like this where I don't have to get my big one out and put it on the table and I just have to grab this one. It's super ideal. So like you pay by the pound. I think it's like $4 a pound. So like these were like real minuscule. And then like paper, because like you're like, oh my gosh, well, like we saved all that wrapping paper, and you buy books or whatever. But paper, I got The Joy of Cooking because I've always wanted to have a copy of The Joy of Cooking. Just so happened it was the 1982 version, which ding ding, that's the year I was born. So I have now the 1982 Joy of Cooking cookbook on my bookshelf that I paid 50 cents a pound for. So a little bit more expensive than other things, but so like, yeah, you pay different prices for like different types of wares. Anyways, but these are look at these little cute spools of ribbon that I found. So polka dots and Snoopy and Hello Kitty. Super excited for those. And then I found some vintage sewing notions. So I look at how cool this ribbon is. So I got some vintage ribbon and some vintage rickrack. It has like, I don't know if you can see, it has like gold in it, like that. Those like lines are gold. There was a lot more rickrack. Not all of it was in sealed packages, and sometimes in those like bins it can get kind of nasty. If you go to the Goodwill bins, bring gloves. I would say both rubber and like garden, because you like reaching into those bins, like they just like dump stuff in there, and so it can not be super safe. And then the other thing that I got, I grabbed at the last minute. Well, there was other stuff. I got a stair basket. I don't know if you like the basket like is like shaped like the stairs. I was really excited. And then I saw a second one while I was like, but I already had that one in my cart and it was like pretty good. So I was like, I'm not going to go adventure for the other one, because it was while they were like putting out new stuff. There's like this thing that happens. They put out all the new bins, but like you have to wait until all of them are out. And then like the second the last bin gets like slid into place, everyone like on all the stuff. It's wild. It's something to experience. If you like thrifting, like I highly recommend checking out the Goodwill bins. And this I picked up at the last minute because look at, there's my, right there is my blue-bowed goose. And so I found blue-bowed geese. Love one another. So I think this will just go with, it's just gonna go over here with this other blue-bowed goose on my wall. It's really cute. So I paid like probably peanuts for that too. Yeah, we got a ton of stuff, and it was, I paid $16 total. We got 2 kids' tennis rackets, a backgammon set, a heating pad that works. We washed the cover and wiped the like plastic part down with like Sani wipes, and then plugged it in, good to go. We got that big basket that I said. I got all that wrapping paper. I got the Joy of Cooking, which like the price on the Joy of Cooking, granted this is a 1982 version. I know that they have changed it probably a lot, but I'm like pretty stoked on just the existence of the recipes in there. It's like living next to my Better Homes and my Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat cookbooks. But we paid $16. I have $15.87, I think, was like my total. So it was like nothing for all of the awesomeness that we got. So that is my plug for both Stephanie's new channel and for the Goodwill bins, and to keep things out of landfills and repurpose where you can. We, especially I think in the cross stitch world, are a little bit in the realm of overconsumption, and just be mindful where you can be mindful. I'm not saying don't buy the things, and the things that make you happy especially, but where you can, have a moment of mindfulness and, you know, help out the landfill situation, help out the, you know, the fast fashion situation that exists. You know, there's differences to be made in small spaces. All right. Then back to kind of cross stitch world and crafty world. So I also have started sort of junk journaling. I decided that, I think I told you this last time, that I wanted to add my like stitching chart into my journal. So I've done that, and then I also planted my first set of seeds for the year. So we did our seed starting. So this has, I'll just kind of plop in maybe a picture of, I use a reusable seed tray, and I started our peppers and our loofah gourds because those are both like the longest starts. I started them on 210, so it has been 11 days. I've got one loofah sprouting and that's it. But this corresponds to where they are on the trays. I and many other gardeners are notorious for starting a bunch of seeds and keeping track-ish and then being like, I'll know what they are later. And then you end up just with like total randomness in your garden of like where it is. I mean, you can tell the difference between like a zucchini and a pepper plant, but like, which peppers did I plant? I've got like 3 different varieties of jalapeno and then another, like a, what do you call them? They're called bear. They have like an Anaheim chili, kind of like for chili relleno. And then I also have like little sweet peppers, and you don't want to get those mixed up with the little hot peppers. So it's just kind of, yeah. So like I said, this is how I track that. And I will put a picture of the tray that I use and show you kind of how it has the little letters, or maybe I'll take the camera over there and do a little tutorial for you. You can see my sprout. All right, so it's really bright in our window, but I figured I would show you our tray. So the tray has, like you can see right here, like the letter A, and then on the row in the middle, it has numbers. So like this is A1, this is A2, this is B2. So you can kind of see how that is. So there's our little loofah. And these trays are awesome. I'm gonna lift this up. It's in another tray with a heating mat, but like, so this bottom part right here is silicone. So you just pop that up when it's time to take your seedlings out. And then you wash it and then you use it again next year. And so it's really pretty stinking amazing. So I will put a link for those in the video, in the description below, in case you are interested and don't have those. But I think you can get them at a lot of your local stores now too. They're from Burpee. So I've been junk journaling-ish. I mean, it like literally is, I'm taping trash and notes. But it's another thing that's making me happy is adding whimsy to my life. And that is what I want to do. I want to add whimsy to my life. I also got, I should have brought it out. I also got at the bins a like watercolor palette, but it's like big. It's like this, and it's black, and it has so many colors in it, and they're untouched. They are just like perfect little chunks. So I need to go get a watercolor pad so that I can bring that with me. We tend to bring watercolors, actually, even for the girls, when we go places. Like, it's in our restaurant bag because all you have to do is ask for like a little cup of water, and it's not like crayons that are rolling around a table, and we just bring a watercolor pad, and my husband and I will like draw on it in Sharpie, and then the girls will like color stuff in. But now we're getting to the age where everybody can draw their own and color their own in, and so now I have some of my own paints that I can bring with me that are like way more colors than those little Crayola strips that we've had in the past. All right, plans wise for cross stitch. Deadly Aquarium, I am still going to try to buckle down on that and try to get a finish before April 1st. That gives me plenty of time still. I've got a month plus, so I don't think the amount of stitches I have left are not a month plus worth of stitching for me, which means that I will get to dabble in other things, which is exciting. What's funny, I pulled, so this is like my bag of like patterns that I have like ready to start. A lot of them are kitted or like partially kitted, and I have been trying to figure out, should I just like grab into the bag and be like, I'm gonna start that one this week. Somebody else showed Goody Grimwood on their Flosstube, and so then I got all excited about that. Again, I don't even remember who it was, but there's Goody Grimwood. It might have been Bridget. So I don't know. I have that. I want to stitch Long Dog. I think we're finally getting to, we've been running a humidifier in our house, so I think I can pull out silks again. I really want to work on Fish and Ships. I feel like it needs its little day in the sun for the moment, to kind of come out and make me feel better about the world. My fabric swap has like closed, or a little 2-inch block swap has closed, and blocks should be on their way to people. So if you signed up for that, just a reminder that those are due to go out. If you have not yet done so, please do so. There is an email in your inbox with the email address that you used to sign up. If you are interested in doing it and didn't get to sign up this time, I'm sure I will do it again, because while I do have a lot of squares thanks to my friend Amy, I still probably, well, I need to go through all of my fabric, which is what I've been doing. So I was cutting like 1 for me, 4 for you, 1 for me, 4 for you, 1 for me, 4 for you, while I was cutting what I have to make sure that I have a square of all of my fabrics before I sent them off. So as I accumulate more stash like that, I will host more of those block swaps. I think that's it for today. I really appreciate you being here with me. Thank you for listening to my dribble. I don't think I will probably just continue to add my my thrifty stuff onto here and just mention Stephanie and her channel every time I do that. I don't think I have the energy in me to start another YouTube channel about thrifting, unless you're like, please stop telling us about thrifting. Everyone's talking about thrifting, in which case I will just shut my mouth about it. But I think it's pretty great, and especially if you can find more like mom and pop thrift shops or thrift shops attached as like fundraisers to hospice. A lot of people do that. Goodwill's not always like the most amazing place, and Salvation Army. Every place seems to have its own set of issues, but if you can find like local thrift shops that are really giving back to your own community, I mean, that is even better. Maine doesn't have a ton of those. We're kind of stuck with the big ones, which is why I prefer going to the Goodwill bins versus just the regular stores, because I really feel like I am keeping something from going into the trash. And I am paying not Goodwill prices for it, which, like, if you've been in there and looked at what they want to charge you for a mason jar, like, it is laughable sometimes. Anyhoozle, thank you for joining me. I will see you again in 2 weeks. I hope you get a lot accomplished and can find joy in your stitching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.